Fallout New Vegas is by far the best installment in the Fallout franchise, and one of, if not the best role-playing game ever made. Why? Well, for one, the player actually matters for the story being told. Choices have consequences, and actions matter. On top of that, you can play the game and design your character however you want, while still being able to enjoy the world and the story within. My name is Jacko, and this is What It Takes to Be Great, a series in which we review various anime, TV shows, movies, video games, and so much more, and relaying to you why we think they're great. To put it simply, from the moment you step out into the world of New Vegas, the path you take dictates the flow of everything around you. Every action has a reaction, every skill check changes the flow, and every quest dictates not only who's left at the end, but the actual fate of the Mojave. Primm is the prime example of this world building in action. As a player, we can come into this town and sweep the riffraff from the streets and restore order. And how exactly we choose to achieve this quest changes the fate of this little town for the rest of the game. For example, if we decide to take the NCR route by giving them control and establishing their own form of law, we'll not only see the Nashes and the townsfolk return to their homes, but see an increase in the prices offered by the vendors, something we're told will happen as the NCR will establish taxes under their rule. Additionally, once the residents of Primm return to their homes and leave the Vicky and Vance casino, we not only get an encounter with some more raiders that we can dispatch however we like, peacefully, violently, etc., but we also see the return of the casino in full working order. This is the history of just one location we experienced very early on. What makes this style of gameplay so compelling is the world building each quest achieves. Going back to the quest in Primm, it ushers us, the player, towards other story beats and other potential paths, showing us that we can go about this world in various ways. If we were to follow a suggestion from the town's deputy, we can go to the powder gangers at the NCR Correctional Facility. This detour can do a few things. It can show the players that karma isn't everything, and that it's possible to play again without siding with one of the major factions, in this case the NCR. It can also, if we're a little extra exploratory in our travels from Primm to the Correctional Facility, introduce us to the Brotherhood, which also has its own set of quests that will decide their fate. And if we go with the NCR, it'll take us to the Outpost, which will take us to Nipton, which will show us the Legion. And again, this is all branches from a single location that takes us all around the Mojave and showcases the different playstyles and factions on offer and how we can affect them, positively, negatively, or even not at all with Yes Man. It's one thing for a world to have this level of choices, and it's another to allow this and still give room for players to change their mind without the hand-holding or twisting the story outside its own logic. As a player, you can go through the entire story, killing every Legion member you come across, and foiling every plot carefully orchestrated by Caesar up until you reach the Tops Casino. This gives plenty of time to experience this style playthrough before you change your mind. The same goes for working against the NCR up until this moment. The game gets away with this clever hand-holding by establishing our importance at this moment and explain to us the value we now possess as far as these factions are concerned. We're able to go back on some of our actions, as far as consequences are concerned, without fracturing or diminishing the story. This is amazing. There are so few games that not only allow players to make choices that actually matter to the story, and even fewer that allow players that are looking for something a little bit more comfortable / easier to play to go back on some of those choices, all without diminishing their previous choices. Lastly, the characters we interact with feel like actual characters, rather than props used to move the story along, something modern games and many role-playing games as a whole suffer from. Like the various locations in the game, the characters, especially the companions, also take us through the game world and give us opportunities to explore and develop our chosen playstyle without restricting us too much and ruining our immersion. Characters like Boone and Veronica help develop the world of the game beyond the quests, by creating histories that we can immerse ourselves in and learn through developments in our shared relationship over time. Keeping Veronica in mind, New Vegas also does something pretty great with its characters that sadly a lot of other games fail to do, and that is effectively establishing a connection between the main game and the DLCs. Veronica's character creates branches across all the DLCs with their own relationships with key characters. Additionally, the main game creates these partial myths and fractured stories of characters that stood as monuments before your arrival in the Mojave. The game builds them up so that when you go and meet them in DLCs, there is an established connection, making the DLCs feel like actual additions to the main game rather than something slapped on for a quick buck or a whole other game. With that said, however, the game still manages to keep this connection even while introducing new enemies, new weapons, new mechanics, and new types of playstyles in these DLCs. Before I end this video, I want to address something. Some people might find that what I've mentioned so far can be attributed to just about any game in the Fallout franchise. This isn't true, especially in the case of the installments that came after New Vegas. In Fallout 4, for example, While we do have locations like the Weston Water Treatment Plant that clearly change from reactions with the visual disappearance of the overflowing water, there are a plethora of inconsistencies across the map, where we achieve greater actions that supposedly have outstanding consequences that visually have no change whatsoever. Biggest and worst offender for this, in my opinion, is none other than Sanctuary Hills. From the very introduction of the settlements until the end of the game, the Minutemen remnants that we pick up and scatter here from Concord are forever repairing the same invisible panels of crumbling buildings. It's the fact that this is the very first settlement any player interacts with that makes this lack of care so disappointing. Why does a dingy side quest and super mutant hangout get so much attention to detail, but the very home of our character gets nothing but a never-ending construction crew? Another point that I mentioned was New Vegas' ability to allow players to choose who their character is and how they want to play them. Fallout 4 and Fallout 3, and even somewhat Fallout 1, force players into a set roller coaster while only giving glimmers of actual role-playing. I will give it that these set paths are enjoyable and have decent stories, but they don't make the most out of the very genre that they are attached to. Fallout 4 does have its Silver Shroud quests and outfit mechanic that allow us to role-play as this comic book hero, but by the very nature of a voiced character and an unchangeable pre-existing relationship in the form of a spouse, the player is locked into a set narrative. Lastly, the characters. While Fallout 3 does have very interesting characters that have quests that impact our appreciation of the game's world, and even some like Mr. Burke and Mr. Tenpenny that goes so far as to allow us to permanently change a key location and partially affect the narrative of the main story, New Vegas has it beat. Fallout 3's characters mostly fall into a good or bad guy category, meaning that your relationships with them and what they bring to the world is locked into two paths. New Vegas does this better by connecting characters to factions and different moralities as well as karma, offering the player more variety and chances to experience the world from different views. The installment that followed New Vegas, Fallout 4, is of course an even bigger offender, with main companions like Preston Garvey being turned into memes due to their pure annoyance and clear NPC behavior, which ruins any and all immersion. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more of it in the future, consider subscribing to our channel and leaving a like. If you have any ideas for what we should cover next, please let us know and leave a comment down below. Once again, my name is Jacko, and this was What It Takes to Be Great.